Oh, dude, like that lady who I saw a lady throw a javelin the other day. It was crazy. I just saw. Yeah, she just turned 18 the very next day. Yep, this is what I saw on Reddit. She threw 71.74 meters, which is 235.36 feet. Goddamn. Goddamn. That's crazy far. Here's the other crazy part. Look at her. I'd say that's got testosterone written all over it. And that's again not me trying to be whatever. It's just that's just making a observation. Because there was a woman named Caster Semenya. And the thing that happened to her. Oh wait, that's that article I was gonna listen to. Here we go. This person. So, and this isn't like meant to be some type of entrapment or anything like that. But if you looked at this image here, would you just be able to ascertain that that's a woman right off the bat, knowing nothing else? Could you just look at this picture and just be like, that doesn't look like a woman to me? Because it's all about your cultural conception of what womanhood is. What about it makes it seem like they're not, you know? I could not. Exactly. And that's precisely what people from the United States thought. Because I learned about this person when I was in school, but it is a fascinating tale. They're a South African middle distance runner, as well as a 3 world championship in their 800 meters, 2 Olympic gold medals. Um, she won a bronze medal in the 1500 meter. After the doping disqualification of this person, she was also awarded gold medals for the 2011 and 2012 Olympics. This bitch, all right? This bitch. Let's talk about her. Let's talk about her. She's a Russian former athlete who specialized in the 800 meter. In 2017, she was found guilty of doping and was suspended from competition for 4 years. In addition to the ban, she had 3 years of elite results nullified. Because it's like, you fucking cheated. So we're going to take away your world championship medals for 2011 and 2013 and her 2012 Olympic gold medal. Yeah. She in December 2014, in an undercover documentary filmed by a Russian whistleblower, which aired on German TV, Sabanova admitted to injecting testosterone and using the anabolic steroids. She said, "This steroid is very quickly out of my body again. It takes less than 20 days. We have tested that. My husband has very good contacts at the doping control laboratory." The footage led to their blood samples being re-examined and launched an investigation by the World Anti-Doping Agency into Russia. In August 2015, the IAAF charged her with doping violations. It was referred by the Court of Arbitration for Sport not long after. She was one of 5 Russian runners recommended to receive a lifetime ban for doping during the London Olympics. On the 10th of February 2017, they issued a 43-page opinion, which noted that it follows from the information and intelligence provided that the athlete used prohibited substances over a long period of time. Now, why am I mentioning her when I should be mentioning Caster Semenya? Because that bitch accused her of doping. Crazy. Fucking crazy. Crazy hypocritical, too. Following Semenya's victory at the 2009 World Championship, she was made to undergo sex testing and cleared to return to competition the following year. The decision to perform sex testing sparked a controversy in the sporting world and in Semenya's home country of South Africa. Later reports disclosed that Semenya has the condition 5-alpha reductase 2 deficiency and natural testosterone levels in the typical male range. So you can totally see why that person looks like a dude, which is why I'm thinking about Caster Semenya when I think about this person. Because you look at this Chinese woman and you wouldn't think that's a woman. Not at the first glance, right? At first glance, we're conditioned to say that's a dude. Why? They just look more masculine. But it's not. I know I'm wrong, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to but anyway. So, In 2019, the new IAAF rules came into force for athletes like cementing with certain disorders, requiring medication to suppress testosterone levels in order to participate. So, her body makes more testosterone naturally, which is just, some people will call that unfair, right? Like, shouldn't she be competing against men if she's in the male range? I would say, in the aspect of fairness, yes. Because it's, if she's just crushing them every time, like, if women have to dope in order to compete with her, then can you really blame women? Like, the odds are stacked against them. Um, she refused to undergo the treatment, which is now mandatory. Now you have to do it. She has filed a series of legal cases to restore her ability to compete without testosterone suppression, arguing that the World Athletics rules are discriminatory. I, I can see both sides. That's what would make this a good, like, persuasive speech topic. Like, should women with higher testosterone be forced to compete with men? Or should men with lower testosterone compete with women? It's only fair. Like, really, we should have, like, categories of testosterone levels in the Olympics, not based off of gender. We've been doing the gender shit for 2,000 years, and it's outdated as fuck, you know? Longer than 2,000 years. 4,000, probably, you know? Um, Gender can be referred to different concepts, expand depending on whether you mean biological sex, cultural roles, or modern psychology. There's always been biological sex as long as human beings have been around. That's not a question. The question is whether or not you're making people fit neatly into one of two categories, when we know that that's not healthy. Not only for men, but for women too, and for the people in between who don't know what to identify as. Um, the female preceded the male from an evolutionary biology standpoint. Early life on Earth reproduced asexually, cloning before the evolution of sexual reproduction. When distinct biological sexes eventually evolved, eggs required a much larger investment of biological resources, whereas sperm primarily evolved to transport genetic material. Western societies built on a two gender binary, which became strictly codified in the 18th and 19th centuries. But many non Western cultures have historically recognized multiple genders, the Fa, Alpha, Fine, and Samoa. I learned about this when I was in sociology classes. Individuals assigned male at birth who identify as a distinct third gender in Samoan culture. They fully embody feminine traits, play vital caregiving roles with their families, and are fully integrated into Samoan society, distinct from Western definitions of being transgender or gay. They're not either of those things. They're not transgender, they're not gay. Not a Western label. While Western societies conflate them with transgender or queer, they exist within a unique Polynesian cultural framework. They do not necessarily identify as women, but as a separate, fluid gender. Fa'afafine are highly respected for their hard work, contributions to family life, and traditional roles. They are deeply embedded in Samoan heritage and have been recognized for their artistic expression, leadership, and community organization. They typically exhibit feminine mannerisms, dress in the manner of women, and are typically androphilic, attracted to straight men. Now, that to me kind of throws a loop in things. Like, if you're a dude and you're getting hit on by a fa'afafine, would you describe yourself? But then again, I'm thinking in the Western mentality. I'm thinking of heterosexual and homosexual. When over there might be a third, you know? Ooh, there's a female equivalent. In Samoan culture, the identity is viewed as a naturally bestowed characteristic that becomes apparent in early childhood. Okay, so it's not a choice. Even more interesting. It's like you're brought up to be a fa'afafine just based on how you act. It makes me think of Athena. Like, she exhibits boy characteristics, but she's a girl. So, like, why should we try to, like, fit her into the box of womanhood? Because that's stifling. Like, we can't tell her to do certain things. And, like, there's age is another factor, too, though. But, like, that's not based on gender. It's like you're not old enough to be doing certain things, wearing certain things, dressing a certain way. There is a female equivalent called the Fatama in the manner of man. Well, there you go. Fascinating. I really ought to. I had to. I had to make that a thing. What's the word? Bookmark. A bookmark. But yeah, fascinating stuff. So I just wonder, like, how long have? Well, I guess you could just look at the. You could look at just the Wikipedia article for gender. Most cultures have a gender binary divided into two categories. Those who are outside of these groups fall under the umbrella term non binary. Some societies have third genders and fourth genders, such as the Hijras of South Asia and two spirit persons native to North America. Most scholars agree that gender is a central characteristic for social organization. This may include social constructs as well as gender expression. It's been used as a synonym for sex, and the balance between these usages has shifted over time. In the mid 20th century, a terminological distinction in modern English between biological sex and gender began to develop in the academic areas of psychology, sociology, sexology, and feminism. Before the mid 20th century, it was uncommon to use the word gender to refer to anything but grammatical categories. In the West, in the 1970s, feminist theory embraced the concept of a distinction between biological sex and the social construct of gender. The distinction between genders and sex is made most contemporary by social scientists in Western countries. Behavioral scientists and biologists, many legal systems and government bodies, and the intergovernmental agencies like the World Health Organization. The experiences of intersex people also testify to the complexity of sex and gender. Female, male, and other gender identities are experienced across the many divergences of sexual difference. The social sciences have a branch devoted to gender studies. Other sciences like psychology, sociology, sexology, and neuroscience are interested in the subject. The social sciences approach gender as a social construct. Gender studies particularly does, while research in natural sciences investigates whether biological differences in females and males influence the development of gender in humans. Both inform the debate about how far biological differences influence the formation of gender identity and gendered behavior. Biopsychosocial approaches to gender include biological, psychological, and social cultural aspects. And I'm trying to conceptualize gender from a Western standpoint because that's a Western word. The whole idea to gender to me is a Western idea. But it's not just Western, because what it's saying is many societies have a binary system, male, female. The concept of gender in the modern sense is a recent invention. The more ancient world has no basis of understanding gender as it has been understood in the humanities and social sciences for the past few decades. The term gender has been associated with grammar for most of history, and only started to move toward it being a malleable cultural construct. Hmm. Hmm. Were they just looking at animals too and being like, well, that's a dude, that's a woman? Hmm. I guess my question is how long have gender roles been a thing? And it's as long as people have been around, I guess, as long as there have been men and women. Okay, so Semenya was born on the 7th of January 1991 in Ga Mahazlong, a village in South Africa. She has three sisters and a brother. She attended a Nthema secondary school. She began running as training for association football, soccer. Although they were assigned female at birth, she has this condition. It only affects people with XY chromosomes, so men aren't affected by it. Only women. Women. Individuals with 5ARD have the normal male internal structures that are not fully masculinized during the development of the reproductive system in utero, due to low levels of the hormone dihydrotestosterone. As a result, the external genitalia may appear ambiguous or female at birth. Semenya said she was born with a vagina and internal undescended testes, but that she has no uterus or fallopian tubes and does not menstruate. Her internal testes produce natural testosterone levels in the typical male range, so Semenya rejects the label of intersex, calling herself a different kind of woman. Fair enough. Because that's just another fucking broad ass category that sort of invalidates who you are as a person, and this is cool. This makes her a very unique individual, but does that mean we have the basis to discriminate? I on the basis of fairness. In 2008, in July, she participated in the 2008 World Junior Championships in the 800 meter and did not qualify for finals. She won the gold of the 2008 Commonwealth Youth Games at the time of 2:4:23. National record and a championship record. Okay, here we go. Following her victory at the World Championships, questions are raised about her sex. Having beaten previous 800 meters best by 4 seconds just a month earlier, her quick improvements came under scrutiny. The combination of her rapid athletic progression and her appearance culminated in World Athletics asking her to take a sex verification test to ascertain whether she was female. You want to know what that was? I'm pretty sure they just pulled her behind a tent and just asked her to lift up her fucking clothes. From what I can remember. The World Athletics said it was obliged to investigate after she made improvements of the 25 seconds of the 1500 meters and 8 seconds at 800 meters. The sort of dramatic breakthrough that usually aroused suspicion of drug use. Okay, so it's like, is she cheating? No. Her body's cheating. It's just a natural advantage that only she has. The sex test results were never published officially, but some results were leaked in the press and were widely discussed, resulting in that time unverified claims about them having an intersex trait. In November 2009, South Africa's sports ministry issued a statement that Semenya had reached an agreement with the IAAF to keep her medal and award. 8 months later, she was cleared to compete in women's competitions. News that the IAAF requested the test broke 3 hours before the 2009 World Championships 800-meter final. The president, Lamine Diack, stated, "There was a leak of confidentiality at some point, and this led to some insensitive reactions. The IAAF's handling of the case spurred many negative reactions. A number of athletes, including retired sprinter Michael Johnson, criticized the organization for its response to the incident." There was an additional outcry from South Africans alleging undertones of European racism and imperialism embedded in the gender testing. You're just trying to keep black people down even more, you know? Many local media reports highlighted these frustrations and challenged the validity of the tests with the belief that through Semenya's testing, members of the global north did not want South Africans to excel. The IAAF said it confirmed the requirement for a sex verification test after news had already been reported in the media, denying charges of racism and expressing regret about the allegations being made about the reasons for which these tests are being conducted. The Federation also examined that the motivation for the test was not suspected cheating, but a desire to determine whether she had a rare medical condition giving her an unfair advantage. The president of the IAS stated the case could have been handled with more sensitivity. On the 7th of September 2009, Wilfred Daniels, Semenya's coach, resigned because he felt the Athletic South Africa did not advise Semenya properly. He apologized for personally having failed to protect her. ASA President Leonard Chouene admitted on the 19th of September 2009 to having subjected Semenya to testing. He had previously lied to Semenya about the purpose of the test and to others about having to perform the tests. He ignored a request from NASA team Dr. Harold Adams to withdraw Semenya from the World Championships over concerns about the need to keep her medical records confidential. Prominent South African civic leaders, commentators, politicians, and activists characterized the controversy as racist, as well as an affront to Semenya's privacy and human rights. On the recommendation of South Africa's Minister for Sport and Recreation, Mackenzie Stofile, Semenya retained the legal firm Dewey and LaBeouf, acting pro bono, quote, to make certain that her civil and legal rights and dignity as a person are fully protected, end quote. In an interview with South African magazine You, Semenya stated, "God made me the way I am, and I accept myself." Following the Semenya received great support with South Africa to the extent of being called a cause célèbre. An issue or incident surrounding widespread controversy. It's used positively for celebrated legal causes and their precedent value, and more often negatively for infamous ones. In March 2010, Semenya was denied the opportunity to compete in the local Yellow Pages Series 5 track and field event in Stellenbosch, South Africa, because the IAAF had yet to release its findings from her sex test. On the 6th of July, the IAAF cleared Semenya to return to international competition. The results of the sex tests were not released for privacy reasons. She was returned to competition 9 days later, winning 2 minor races in Finland. On the 22nd of August 2010, running on the same track as her World Championship victory, Semenya started slowly, but finished strongly, dipping under 2 minutes for the first time since the controversy. Oh, hydrate, thank you. Just drink all of it. Not being in full form, she did not enter the World Junior Championships or the African Championships, both held in July 2010, and opted to target the Commonwealth Games to be held in October 2010. She improved her season's best to 1:58. 16. Damn. Eventually, she was forced to skip the games due to an injury. Okay. After the controversy of the previous year, Semenya returned to action with a moderately low profile, running only 1:58.61 at the Bislett Games as her best prior to the World Championships. During the championship, she easily won her semi-final heat. In the final, she remained in front of the pack leading into the final straightaway. While she separated from the field, Maria Savinova followed her, then sprinted past Semenya before the finishing line, leaving her to finish second. In 2017, they were banned for doping, resulting in them being awarded the gold medal. She was chosen to carry the country's flag during the opening ceremony for the 2012 Summer Olympics. Okay, look at that. Getting some credit. She passed 6 competitors in the last 150 meters, but did not pass Maria Savinova, who took gold in a time of this, finishing 1.04 seconds before Semenya. During the BBC coverage, former British hurdler Colin Jackson raised the question whether she had thrown the race, as the time that had been run was well within her capability, though in fact she had at that point only once in her life run faster than Savinova's winning time. In November 2015, they recommended Savinova and 4 other athletes were given a lifetime ban. On the 10th of February 2017, the Court of Arbitration officially disqualified Savinova's results, backdated to July 2010. The International Olympic Committee reallocated the 2012 London medals, and Semenya's silver was upgraded to gold. That's good. I'm glad to know that she actually, got something good, Okay. But in 2015, the IAF policy on high natural levels of testosterone in women, which had been in place since 2011, was suspended following the case of Duty Chand versus Athletics Federation of India and the International Association of Athletics Federation in the Court of Arbitration for Sport, decided in 2015 of July. The ruling found that there was a lack of evidence provided that testosterone increased female athletic performance and notified the IAF that it had 2 years to provide the evidence. Okay, so that's the most important piece of information of all of this. There was a lack of evidence that testosterone increased female athletic performance. Just because she has higher testosterone does not mean that she's a better athletic performer. And it gave them 2 years to prove it. Gave us evidence that this is the case. On the 16th of April in 2016, Semenya became the first person to win all 3 of the 400, 800, and 1500 meter titles, setting the world-leading marks of 50.74 and 158.45 in the first 2 events, and 4 minutes and 10 seconds in the 1500 meter. All within a 4-hour span of each other. Goddamn! On the 16th of July, she set a new national record for 800 meters of 155.33. On the 20th of August, she won the gold medal in the women's 800 meters in the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio with a time of 155.28. The win reignited controversy over the rules on permissible testosterone levels. Immediately after the race, Lindsay Sharp, finishing 6th, broke into tears, having previously said that everyone can see it's 2 separate races. While 5th placed Johanna Yazwick stated, "I feel like the silver medalist. I'm glad I'm the first European, the second white, to finish the race." Bioethicist Katrina Karzazis criticized the indignant response to Semenya's win as discriminatory. Semenya set new personal best for 400 meters of 50.4 at the 2016 Memorial Van Damme track and field meet in Brussels. In 2017, she won the bronze medal in the 1500 meters held in London. She also won the gold medal of the women's 800 meter event. In April 2018, the IAF announced new rules effective the 8th of May 2019 that apply to athletes within certain disorders of sex development that result in androgen sensitivity and testosterone levels above 5. Under the new rule, these athletes would be required to take medication to lower the testosterone levels below this threshold for 6 months in order to compete in the female classification for certain events. In a report explaining its decision, the IAAF wrote, there was a, quote, broad medical and scientific consensus, end quote, that athletes with high testosterone can, quote, significantly enhance their sporting potential, end quote, due to greater muscle mass, strength, and hemoglobin levels. The report added that quote, there is no other genetic or biological trait encountered in female athletics that confers such a huge performance advantage, end quote. The IAF's changes applied to 8 different events: the 400 meter, 800 meter, and 1500 meter, which Semenya regularly competed in. Sports scientist Ross Tucker estimated that the new rules could make Semenya 5 to 7 seconds slower over 800 meters. Female athletes without a DSD are not subject to any testosterone limits. In 2019, Semenya joined the South African Safa Sasol Women's League Football Club. In 2020, in the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, Semenya announced that she had decided to switch to the 200 meter for the Olympics in order to avoid the 400 meter to 1 mile ban. In order to qualify for the 200 meters, they have to achieve qualifying time of 22.8. She previously won the 5,000 meters. In 2019, on the 15th of April 2021, Semenya confirmed she would not try to make the Tokyo 2020 200 meter qualifying standard. On the 28th of May 2021, she ran a personal best of 15:32.15 in the 5,000 meters, 22 seconds slower than the necessary time to be allowed to compete at the Olympics. Semenya ran the 5,000 meter race at the 2022 Athletic Championship in Eugene, Oregon. It was her first major international competition since 2017. She finished almost a minute behind first place in her heat of the semifinals and did not advance to the finals. In 2018 of June, she announced she would legally challenge the rules, calling them discriminatory, irrational, and unjustifiable. She claimed that testosterone suppressing medication, which she had taken from 2010 to 2015, had made her feel, quote, constantly sick and caused her abdominal pain, and that the IAAF had used her as a guinea pig to test the medication's effects. The case divided both legal and scientific commentators. Duke Law School professor and former middle distance runner Doreen Lambalette Coleman argued the organization's rules guaranteed a, quote, protected space, end quote, for female athletes. Physician and genetics researcher Eric Villian argued in favor of Semenya, claiming that, quote, sex is not defined by one particular parameter. It's so difficult to exclude women who've always lived their entire lives as women. But all of a sudden, when you compete, you're a man now. What the fuck? During the proceedings, or end quote, during the proceedings, the IAF clarified that the regulations would only apply to DSD athletes with XY chromosomes, doubling down on the discrimination. You're not doing this for men, you're only doing this for women. Epic Guy Reborn 88. Hey, can I share my recent song for review? Well, sure, you know, why not? You can put links here. Welcome. It's your first time in the chat. I kind of low-key forgot that I was in the music category. Am I in the music category? Am I in the just chatting category? I am in the just chatting category. So, White Boy Weirdo. Is it a song I can listen to on stream? Am I gonna get, like, in trouble or anything like that? I mean, it's already been 2 hours. I might have to listen to it on stream and get back to you. If you go there, you'll join the Discord, and then I can actually, like, be able to contact you outside of the stream, and then I can give you, like, you know, my full-fledged... No, it's just really dark. Okay. Alright. Okay, so, like... What kind of review are you wanting? Like, an emotional review? Like, how did it make you feel? Like, I'm just like... Give me some questions that I need a basis off of, you know? I'm listening to it right now, says Bunny. Thank you, Bunny. Since you're new here, Epic Guy Reborn. I don't know what you want me to call you, Epic or Guy or, you know, 88. I can call you whatever you want. I don't want to call people mainly what you would like and not like. Anything. Okay. I'll call you Epic just because it's simple. Yeah. What's up, yeah? Like South Park, you know, Canadian people. Mainly what you like and not like. Okay. I can do that. I'm not really comfortable doing it on stream simply because, like, I'm worried I'm not going to give you an authentic representation of myself, if that makes any sense. Like, and that might be just me procrastinating and making excuses or whatever, but, like, I don't know. I'm also kind of in the middle of reading this thing about, this Caster Semenya stuff, so I can... Or if you want, guys, I can pin it in the chat, and I'll pin it for, like, 30 minutes. and then people can give their feedback, you know. But how are you doing today, Epic? Are you having a good day? I'm glad you found the channel of the millions and millions of people on Twitch, you know. There are probably not that many streamers, but there's a lot of people watching on Twitch, but there's not as many people streaming on Twitch. So I want to feel like I'm in the minority being a streamer, but sometimes it feels like there's more streamers than viewers. Pretty blessed and enjoying the sunlight. Amen to that. Amen to that, brother. I'm gonna call you brother just because guy, you know, it's right there. Um, Pretty blessed. What are you? Are you just grateful for the weather? Grateful for that, you know? I took a nice hike yesterday, and if you go to the Discord, you can see the pictures that I got on my hike. And I never put the videos over there. Oh well. But I'm doing pretty good. I've been learning a lot this morning. Starting with the listening to does sad music make you sadder? Does it make you happier? Does it regulate your emotions? And it really, the consensus I'm gotten to is that it depends on the person. You can upload them later. That's true. I'm already getting distracted enough as it is. Yeah, I remember now because I pulled up this article because I wanted to. It's been a beautiful day so far. Good. Where are you from, Epic? I just like to get a placement on people. You don't have to tell me if you're not comfortable. You can just give me like a country if you don't want to give me anything specific. But I'm from Skibbity Riz, Ohio. Bunny is also from Skibbity Riz, Ohio. Bunny's my girlfriend too. I don't think I mentioned that. But Kitchener, Ontario. Huh. I've never heard of Kitchener, but I'm also not from Canada. Is that why it's Epic Guy? Is it a South Park reference? I'm always curious why people came up with their usernames. So it's a huge sidetrack for me. Like a beef named Stew is just because I like Johnny Cash, and I'm a funny guy. I come up with funny bits. You know, the more you stick around, the more you might see them. But yeah, started here. The time of the day. Okay, so like some people, this you weren't able to hear this because you weren't here yet, Epic. But some individuals report that their preference for sad music is dependent on the time of day. Like, oh, I like listening to it at nighttime versus in the beginning of the day. The liking of sad music increases when you're repeatedly exposed to the excerpt while you're distracted or mentally fatigued, or if it's preceded by multiple happy sounding excerpts. But then I started talking about skin conductance, and I got real distracted. Like, the electricity on your skin, how conductive it is. Not really, lol. My brother gave it to me when I was a kid, and I like the way it sounds. Okay. Was it like a username? Like a like I had old Xbox usernames, you know, and I modeled my first Xbox username off of my brother because I had nothing else to base it off of. But yee Xbox, yee Bunny played Xbox too. We're all out. Look at us, a bunch of Xbox gamers. You know, I still got my 360 in the other room. And my brother actually asked me to boot it up the other day and be like, "Can you tell me what my email is?" And it's like, "Nope, it just tells me your username." Unfortunately. Mood plays a role for preferences. I gotta get back to the Castor Semenya shit, dude. Getting shit in, getting distracted. Because, like, when I go to highlight the stream, I have to do it in sections. Just like, here's where I was talking about Castor Semenya. Here I was talking about... Because before I was talking about Castor Semenya, I was talking about this person I saw on Reddit the other day who looks like a dude. Not trying to be all sexist or anything, but just based off of appearances, you wouldn't think that that's a lady. She threw a javelin over 230 feet or something crazy like that. Arbitrary age limits kept one of the planet's most dominant athletes completely locked out of the Olympics and World Championships. So yeah. So the day after she turned 18, because of age limits, you know, like, is it unfair to make this person compete with everybody else? And it's like, not really, because like they've been waiting 18 years for this moment. But, and then before that, we were learning about the window of tolerance. Like, if you're too stressed out, here's what you should do. Or if you're hyper aroused, that's the word they used. But I always put my VODs on YouTube too, so you won't miss anything. Cold showers, holding ice, splashing your face with cold water provokes a strong physical response. Alright, back to Castor Semenya. In May 2019, the Court of Arbitration for Sport rejected Semenya's challenge in a 2-1 decision, paving the way for new rules to come into effect. Although the CAS agreed with Semenya that the rules were discriminatory, it concluded that this discrimination was, quote, a necessary, reasonable, and proportionate means of achieving the aims of preserving the integrity of female athletics, end quote. That same month, Semenya appealed the decision to the Federal Supreme Court of Switzerland. the court provisionally suspended the World Athletics rules while deciding whether to issue an interlocutionary injunction in June. But this decision was reversed in July, leaving Semenya unable to compete in World Athletics races between 400 meters and 1 mile while her appeal continued. The Swiss Supreme Court ultimately dismissed Semenya's appeal in September 2020. In its decision, the court affirmed that the CAS had the right to uphold World Athletics rules, quote, in order to guarantee fair competition for certain running disciplines in female athletics, end quote. The court declared that because Semenya was free to refuse treatment to lower testosterone levels, her guarantee of human dignity was not violated. Really? Because they were free to refuse treatment. Well, you can't compete. What are you talking about? You can't just say, I'm not a human being. You're basically saying I'm not a human being because I have too much testosterone. Or you're not this, and therefore you're not this. I don't know. Guarantee of human dignity. Whatever. I don't think so, but that's because it's just my opinion. If somebody comes up to me and it's like, you can't do that, why? Because your body does this. And it's like, well, that's not fair. I can't control that. How's that fair? But we can control that with medication and hormonal suppressants. So it's like, it's not fair for everybody else. It's like, it's not fair for Caster Semenya, but think about the people you're racing against. It's not fair to them either. Like that person said, they got 6th place and they broke down in tears. It's like, I'm just competing against her. It doesn't even matter. There's other racers here. Either I'm just in silver. I'm skipping ahead. In the February of 2021, Semenya appealed the case to the European Court of Human Rights. In March 2023, the World Athletics made its rules for Semenya and other DSD athletes even more restrictive, requiring them to lower the testosterone levels below a threshold of 2.5 for 24 months before competing. The ECTHR ruled in Semenya's favor in a 4-3 decision, the European Court of Human Rights, finding that the competition rules had discriminated against her and infringed upon her human rights. But the decision did not overturn the rules themselves, and World Athletics stated the regulations would remain in place. So it's like, yeah, this isn't fair, but that doesn't mean they're going to change their rules. After a request from the Swiss government, Semenya's case referred to the Grand Chamber of the ECTHR in November 2023 for a final ruling. On the 10th of July in 2025, a 15-2 vote, the Grand Chamber upheld the 2023 decision of the Swiss Federal Tribunal that Semenya's appeal against World Athletics regulations for athletes with differences of sexual development had not been properly heard. 4 of the 17 judges, including the chamber president from Slovenia, filed a partial dissent to the majority opinion and argued that the ECTHR should have been able to pronounce on substantive conclusions reached by the CAS. The judges wrote that as the World Athletics eligibility rules specifically targeted the applicant since they concern only the events in which she competed, the fact that they amounted to a kind Lex Semenya clearly demonstrates the arbitrariness of those regulations as a whole, expressing their disappointment that her expectations have not been met. Semenya, who has since turned to coaching and is not seeking a return to competition, said she would continue to fight on the behalf of other DSD athletes. Yeah, kind of took the piss out of it, you know? Damn. What a roller coaster, you know? And I think it's a really good, like I said, I'm a public speaking professor, so hearing persuasive speech, this might be the best persuasive speech topic you could come up with. Like, I would convince people, like, in my opinion, what's fair? The male side of me wants to say, uphold the Olympic people's decision because it's not fair to other athletes. Yes, it's not fair to her, but it's not fair to other athletes either. You've already won your gold medals, dude. Like, you can't compete anymore, and that sucks. But at some point, it's not like they're revoking your medals, like they did with that one lady. Like, I didn't think that was a problem at all. She was doping. But then again, I'm starting to second guess that decision and be like, she's just trying to give herself a competitive edge. She knows she can't compete against Caster Semenya, and that when she is doping, she's able to effectively compete against her. So is she cheating, or is she just sort of playing to her advantages? Caster Semenya has a natural advantage. How is that fair? It's not fair. She's leveling the playing field by cheating. And she got her medals taken away. So it's like, huh? What are the rules?